Beautiful pre-war Riley. Well, welcome to the Old Classic Car Channel, and today we're at sunny Capesthorne Hall for another classic car show. And let's go and have a look, see what cars are arriving. Jaguar is the theme of the day today. I think Mercedes is tomorrow, but today it's classic Jaguars in front of the main old hall over there. But we are going to wander via the auto jumble and go and see what cars are arriving. Well, there are already quite a few gems here already. A wonderful old Cadillac there. Jaguar Mark II, a mighty Buick, about 1958 I think. But what do we see over here on the trailer? A very nice 1930s, early 1930s Vauxhall, but what model is that? Is that the Cadet? Not quite sure. It'll be a 6-cylinder under there. What a handsome pre-war saloon that is. I really like that. There's quite a few cars here already, but still plenty more to come in, so let's wander up towards the entrance, I think. Vauxhall Viva HA. Now, is that a Porsche 911 or a 912? It's on a 67 plate. Got a Ford Cortina Mark II Savage there, that's a V6 powered car. The cars are beginning to pour into the Capesthorne Classic Car Show now. We've got a Triumph 2500S, that's got the big straight 6 with the twin carburetors on it. And that's followed by a Ford Sierra. That's an XR4i. And a little Morris Minor convertible. A Singer Vogue, one of the Arrow series cars. And a 66 Mgb. Very smart indeed, complete with tow bar no less. Metro City X, followed by a Maestro. An Allegro Estate. That's a rare old bird now. Cracking Beetle. XR3i Cabriolet. That looks like fun. Mighty pair of Americans there, Buick Electra and the closest to us. Very much the era of fins, late 1950s, what's that, about 59 I would have thought. What does it say on the reg plate? 1959. The XR3i Cabriolet, MGTF. What's this here? Yeah, really nice Chevrolet. Beautiful Chevy Bel Air, isn't it? The Woofley V8 soundtrack there, according to the license plate. It's 1956, just before all the Finns really started going mad. There's a Porsche 924 approaching now, followed by a Sierra Cosworth. Oops, that speed bump's catching out a few people. Got a brace of MGB Roadsters now. Very nice. An MG Maestro. Very smart, bright red seat belts was a feature of these, and also the MG Metros. Mark II Capri, very nice too, 2-litre car. A brace of Beetles, very smart, look at that, that's a beauty, that is. Mustang, there's no problems with ground clearance on that one. Some cars are finding this hump just a little bit tight. Shades of Bullet there, Steve McQueen. Glorious DB5 that isn't silver. The Fiesta of the mid-1990s. Mark One Escort. This is a bit low. Taking it very easy. Yep, take it very easy. Mark One Lotus Cortina. You sometimes wonder why you actually need a speed hump here. Toyota MR2 Mark One. You'll have to take it very carefully. A Lancia Beta. A Chevy 3100 being trailered in. Mercedes 190, very clean example there. A bit of American muscle now. What are we looking at here? Is this a Barracuda? I've got a feeling we saw this yesterday at the US Auto Show as an HC Viva. But the green car, I think we saw that at the US Auto Show yesterday at Alton Park. We didn't do a video there. Lovely Consul Capri, what a beauty that is. Is it a Barracuda? I think it is. Great little pre-war standard there. What's that, a flying 12 or a 14? Citroen SM, wow. V6 Maserati power, that one. What a beauty that is. That sounds fantastic.
What was the standard? Was it flying?
The standard was like a flying 12 or a 14, something like that.
Oh wow.
Fiat 130 Coupe. TR4, very nice too. XJ40, part of the Jaguar contingent that is the theme of the day here at Capesthorne Hall. Many more Jaguars there, they're a pair of XJRs. Used to have one of those. 1998 was my car, midnight blue metallic. They were a great car. That's the V8 versions, I think, both of those. You can tell by the slightly rounded off front indicators and slightly different chrome bumpers on the front. There's a Sierra Cosworth, a Sapphire Cosworth, and that's followed by a Riley. Now it's either a 468 or I think this is probably the 472. It's a 1966 car, so I think it's probably the 472. That's got the B series engine. Very nice indeed. 1622cc and I think twin carburetors, a bit like the MG Magnet. Yeah, there's that XJR, lovely dark green. E33 series BMW, a two-door car. Oops, Mgb Roadster. Morris Traveller there, 8 treads, one of the last. An RS Turbo. That's an X300 Jaguar. 6-cylinder car as opposed to the later V8s. What do we have here? Lotus Eclat. Behind the Eclat we've got this Esprit, taking it very easy over the infamous speed humps. Followed by a Ford Fiesta XR2 Mark II, big Jag XJ, a GT6 Mark III. Harley are going to be happy now. The early cars, the early Mark IIIs, still had the Rotoflex rear suspension, then they went to the swing spring. There's a 190 Mercedes Mgb Gt V8. We saw some of those racing at Alton Park yesterday and they sounded glorious. The Rover SD1. What engine's that? They did various engine sizes, biggest being the 3.5. Yep, that's got a 3.5 litre V8 in it. We've got Aston Martin DB7. I can hear a Morris Minor. There we go. What a beauty that is. Look at the wood on that. Absolutely great car, that. Aluminium roofs on these. At least the main piece of roof over the rear body is an aluminium panel. Bit of a queue building up. Really nice Mini Clubman. We've had a Citroen SM and there's a Citroen Ds. Behind the DS, got an XJS and the local Triumph TR3A. Many classic cars still pouring in, and they still will do for a little while yet, I think. XJS is very swish indeed. Is that a 6 or a V12? I don't know yet. The DS won't have any problems with the speed hump. It'll just glide over as if it isn't even there. You can always tell a TR3A from a 3 because it's got exterior door handles and slightly different grille. Scooby-Doo. And over there is a Tickford modified Ford Capri. But what is that? Certainly I've never seen one of these before. Sao Paulo on the registration. Something Beetle based. I think we'll have to have a closer look at that a bit later on because I have no idea what that is. There's a couple of Capris either side of it. I think we have a bit of steam, unfortunately. Bay window VW camper van. Scimitar SE6A. Ford V6 3-litre engine in that one. Some of them are manual, some of them are autos. It's a Staffordshire registered Capri. Did we follow that in last time? Did we? E36 BMW Cabriolet. Another XJ40, that's quite a late one. You can hear a Mini. Yep, taking it very gingerly. If memory serves, this is the RS2000 based on the Mark V Escort. Obviously still front wheel drive like all the Mark V Escorts. Yeah, the RS2000. Another E30. Mark II Capri, very smart, not like the wheels. Emerging from the shadows, we've got quite a rare Mercedes SL. That's one of the 107 series cars. This is a bit more unusual because it's an American spec, a federal spec car. So you've got the 4 round headlights and the big stick outy bumpers. That's really nice. Left hand drive still. X350 or 358 depending on the engine. BMW, Jaguar, BMW, it's a Jaguar. This is the all aluminium Jaguar Xj Metro, very smart too. Rover 200, or is it 400? Never remember. 200, isn't it, the hatchback? The 400 was the saloon, the booted saloon, and this was the 200 range, the R8 if I remember right. One of Blackpool's finest. Always good to see another side valve Ford out in action. Now this is the 100E, that could be the Escort or it could be the Squire. This is the Squire. This was the upmarket version. The earlier Squires had the sort of the wood effect panels or pieces down the side, but they removed those later on in production. Very distinctive gear whine and exhaust Beetle. There you go. Stainless exhaust, I think, on that one. Spy a Mazda RX-7 in the distance, rotary engined. Harley likes these. Very sharp looking car that is, isn't it? Got a Mark One Triumph GT6 here. Oof. Harley's very happy now. He's got a bit of a liking for GT6s, earlier the better, but he just loves his straight sixes. Behind the GT6 we've got a Volvo Amazon, lights ablaze. Really clean Mark One Fiesta. Morgan. First of the Morgans we've seen today, but there's usually quite a lot of them here at the Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. There we go, Triumph GT6 Mark One, lower front bumper. That's how you tell a Mark One visually. These still have the swing axle rear suspension on them. On the Mark II they went to what they call a Rotaflex rear end, a bit less tail happy. That's a beautiful GT6 that is. Convertibles of very different ages. We've got an MX-5, we tried to book ours in but didn't succeed. And a Series 2 Morris 8. Cracking little mini pickup, Mini 95 pickup. TVI Chimera. He'll be taking it very carefully now. Second of the SD1 Rovers we've seen today. Got a Mercedes saloon, a 123 series saloon. These are really nice cars. I could quite happily run one of those estate car versions of that. We've got a pre-war saloon behind that. Let's go and have a closer look, see what that is. Really nice two-door Mark One Ford Escort there, N-Reg behind that. Brace of Triumph Stags. I wonder if they've still got their original Triumph 3 litre V8 engines. Spot of pre-war goodness again, that's always good to see, and this is a Riley. Now, what model of Riley is that? Is it a Lynx possibly? Beautiful car that was. Oops, a little bit tight. Another Aston Martin. Plenty of ground clearance on that, I was surprised actually. Mitsubishi Evo Mark One MR2. The field here at Capesthorne is really filling up now with old cars. The weather's great, there's always a huge turnout of cars here and real mix of ages, which is good to see. See too many Datsun or Nissan Bluebirds now. Variety for you. Is that the one that was for sale at Alton Park recently in the auction area? Pre-war SS Jaguar. Citroen BX. Perfect XJS cabriolet for a day like this. BMW 7 Series, that's the E38 era of car. Renault now, this is the booted 9, isn't it, I think? The hatchback was the 11 and the booted car was the Renault 9. This is the Broadway limited edition. Who remembers owning one of those? Or one of those? Driving up gingerly now is a Sunbeam Rapier. It's quite a late one. Late of that era. Nissan S Cargo. Wouldn't mind having a look around that MGB later, actually. There's a Mini driving up, sounds like it's on straight cut gears. That's followed by an XR4i, another Ford Sierra XR4i, also taking it very easy over the speed hump, but it's a Mini pickup. Yeah, that whine is usually straight cut gears. Cortina GXL, that's the top of the tree pretty much for the Mark III Cortina range. Next down the driveway, a Humber Hawk. Apologies if you're watching this and I haven't included your classic car, but it really probably isn't going to be possible to film everything that's here today. I will have a bit of a walk around with Harley later, so anything that we've missed driving in, because there are quite a few cars here already when we turned up, hopefully if I missed you driving in, then I might catch you somewhere in the static parking area. Ooh, very nice Farina there, Austin E55 Cambridge Mark II. They didn't make those for long, 59 to 61 they produced those for, the 1489cc B series engine, and then it was revised somewhat and it became the A60 Cambridge, slightly different, much smaller fins, 1622 version of the same engine. I had one of those and ran it for a few years. Great car. And still they pour in. Got another little Renault here, 1987 I think this one is. Now what model is this one? I don't remember. Can we see the back? That's the Renault 11. Oof. Di Tommaso. It's lovely, isn't it? Dolomite Sprint, 16 valve. That's followed by an Opel Manta, one of the GTEs. This is the exclusive, the limited edition. This is the Coupe version. They did the fastback as well. Got a Morris, a 10.4 or a 12.4. That's a Series 1 on the spoke wheels. Yeah, the 10.4 and the 12.4 look pretty much the same if I remember right. The later cars had the solid disc wheels. Mark II Golf GTI. E30 3 Series Estate. Very nice example that is. Must be on some fairly hefty wheels. And the Reliant Scimitar. Somewhat modified Ford 100E. Talbot Horizon.
Yeah, well, that's where he goes.
Seems there are still a few interesting cars coming in. Got an MG V8. Rover brought these out really just to remind the public of MG sports car history before the MGF went on sale. So they got hold of a load of heritage body shells and built these up. Lovely XJS. TR4 1964, complete with a Surrey top. So you've got a lift out panel in the roof there, in the middle of the roof. Ford Galaxy 500, I think this was at Alton Park yesterday as well. Quite an early XK120, it's got separate side lights on top of the wings. That usually suggests we're looking at one of the early aluminium bodied cars as opposed to most of the XK120s which were steel bodied.
Yeah.
The rubber bumper MG Midget, 1500cc Triumph engine.
And they're starting a new line facing the high street back between the American cars and the... Follow this guy. Go down the front, across the cattle bridge, and to... Well, the Jaguar enthusiast club is in front of the hall. All the other Jaguars that are not in the enthusiast club have just all mixed in together. Oh, okay.
Next up, an Austin Maxi. Sunroof opened, got a full-length folding fabric sunroof. Maybe Webasto or Britax. Yep, we got a Mark One Mini. This is a Morris version of the Austin Mini Mark One 1967. Is it a Coupe? Judging by the shiny door surrounds, the window surrounds on the door, it is. Yep, Morris Coupe. E-Reg, that only ran from January to July of 1967, so that dates it fairly well. Got one of the front wheel drive Triumph 1300s here. These are a nice quality car. The 123 series, this time a coupe. Another example of the good old Triumph Dolomite. We've seen a few of these here today. Beautiful pre-war Riley. Next up, a Morris Ital. We went to an evening meeting at the Swettenham Arms pub just a few days ago, and this one turned up there. We didn't do a video there, but this Ital was there. That was sort of the upgraded version of the Morris Marina. Got a few more years out of that basic design. Gilburn, is this the 1600 or the 1800 GT? These were built in Wales. A40 backlights, A40 Farina rear lights. It's a 1966 registration on that particular car. And later you had the Genies and the Invaders and so on. Following the SD1 is the first Rover P6 we've seen today. This is a V8 3.5, just like this SD1. I think someone had a leak.
It's never been raised, but it's a factory raised bike.
Well, we're in front of the main hall now, and this is the Jaguar display. We saw some of these driving in before, so I won't spend too long, but we'll just have a quick scoot round and just find the interesting ones. Really nice XJS. This is one of the X308 XJRs that came in before. You can always tell the V8s, like I said before, the bumpers are slightly different. The chrome is just on the corners of the V8s. The 6s that came before had a bumper blade, a chrome bumper blade that went all the way across. So what else have we got? There's the other X308 that came in. They came in together. What a beautiful car that is. A really nice car. I do love these. We've got a Series 3 over here. It's like about 1979. Last of the classic XJs, I suppose. Compared to the Series 2, they were reworked. The roofline was changed, much higher roofline on these compared to the Series 1 and the Series 2. Still available with the straight 6 or the V12 engine. This has got the 4.2 straight 6 in it, the XK unit, of course. And this is quite rare because it's a manual. The vast majority of these were automatic, so to see a manual Series 3 is quite a rarity, actually. It's mostly modern Jaguars, I'm afraid. There are one or two classic ones dotted about, but there's an awful lot of new ones, or newer ones. But hiding away here, we've got a 3.4 litre Mark II, flying the flag for the older classic Jaguars, and that is really, really nice. But yeah, got another Mark II here. I can't see any E-types, which is a bit surprising. Is it just Jaguar saloons? But then again, there are XJSs here, so I'm not quite sure where the E-types are. Could almost be a scene from the original XJ40 brochure shoot, parked outside a magnificent country pile like this. Yeah, lots of lovely Jaguars here, but not much in the way of classic metal, I'm afraid, so I won't spend too long around here. Lovely cars, don't get me wrong, but it's the main classic car show, and dear oh dear. Right, we've got a Mark One Lotus Cortina. We've seen this one before. We had a lengthy chat with the owner of this early Mark One Cortina quite a while ago at Crew Heritage. And that's a really lovely car. It's the A-frame rear axle car, I think that is. Mgb rubber bumper. Glorious E-type. Can't help thinking that should be parked over there. Mark One Capri. Triumph 2500S. This is one we saw driving in before. Yeah, they did a PI version. But they weren't terribly reliable, so they went to the 2.5S, I think, with the twin Strombergs. Chimera, Merc, Lotus XL. What a beautiful day it is, cracking weather. We've got a Pontiac Firebird here of the late 1970s. Again, this was at the US Auto Show at Alton Park yesterday. Some great cars there yesterday. Really, really interesting static display. I didn't video it, but if we go again next year, I will do, I promise. There's that 64 DB5. Well, there's that VW based car we saw driving in before. Sao Paulo. And judging by the registration and the badge on the back, it's a Puma. You'd never guess, until you heard it at least, There's a VW Beetle hiding under there. What a nifty looking car that is. Shades of Alpine A110, maybe Lotus Europa at the front. I'm guessing someone's brought that in because those were never sold here back in the day. What a great car to see. Just when you think you've seen them all, you see something really special and unusual. Here's that A55 that came in before. What a great set of badges on the front. So we've got the Civil Service Motoring Association, Cambridge Car Club, AA of course, and the Butlins Car Club, and the RAC. Yeah, these are much larger fins compared to the A60 Cambridge that came along afterwards. This is a 1961. Got a handy information sheet there, so I'll have a quick shufty at that. That's really nice, that is. A bit shinier than mine was. But yeah, you can see the really pronounced fins on these earlier Farinas, the BMC Farina. What a Bobby Dazzler that is. So many of these got bang erased and scrapped and rusted away. So to see such a smart survivor is really a treat. Got a Fiat Uno Turbo here. We saw a gaggle of these last time we came to Capesthorne. I think there was 3 or 4 of them here last time we came. Cortina Mark 5, Astra. There's that Riley that we saw coming in before, the 66 Riley. I know I've seen it before, and I'm sure I've looked at the badge before, but I still can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's a 472. Yeah, there we go. Nice wide steel wheels. Wonder where they originated from. And I know TR6 wheels fit on these, but it hasn't got the drillings, the holes drilled in for the TR6, so they're not from a TR6, but they certainly look the part. There's that shiny Mark One Ford Escort 1300E. We saw driving in before. Rare to see one that hasn't been rally spec'd. A bit of everything here today in the car section. We've got a Vauxhall Chevette in black. It's a hatchback, of course they did the saloons as well. Tasty little Beetle. There's that HA Vauxhall Viva, 1966. There's 2 or 3 of these that we see at some of the local shows. There's a grey one we see around sometimes. Well, we'll carry on walking around as we walk away from the hall and down the field, which is pretty full. Got plenty of old motorcycles in. We've got a Velocette, oh, very nice indeed. Got a bit of family history with owning Velocettes. A Matchless, Triumph, Honda of the early 70s. Something for the shy and retiring amongst us. Another wonderful old Matchless here. How beautiful is that? 1949 tax disc. Beauty. And there's George Shuttleworth's Speed Demon. You don't see too many of these Bound bikes around now either. It's a British maker. Economy bikes, a bit like Francis Barnett's, at sort of that end of the market, the affordable end of the market, but you see very few of these.
It's like my first bike. Yeah, they
Okay, well, this Cortina apparently it's unrestored and original panels, matching numbers. That's a rare survivor. Most of these will have been restored by now. Very nice, looks all very original in here. McPherson strut mountings are all looking healthy, which you can't say for many of these old Fords. Wow. And look at this, a Fiat 124 Sport Coupe. That's a handsome machine. I once had my collar felt while playing in a slightly later one of these, back in the 1970s. There was an abandoned one in a car park not far from where we lived. And Me and a friend were sort of pulling out a few bits before it got taken away for scrap. And then this shadow appeared over us from the side, and it was an officer of the law inquiring as to what exactly we were doing. It was a slightly later car than this one with the 4 circular headlights, but the basic shape was the same. But these things rotted for England, or for Italy perhaps. So there are very few nice ones of these still around. Yeah, it's for sale, this one. Is there a price on it? Is there a price on it? Let's have a look. 15,750. Well, that's sort of average Mark One or Mark Two Escort money now. So, what a lovely little car that is. Drown in wax oil. Other products are available, and it should last for many more years to come before needing work. That's a beautifully elegant car. Right, let's carry on. Cracking TVR. There's that Volvo that came in before. It's a 122S. That could have the B18 or the B20 engine, but the 122S means it's got the twin carburetors. 2-door, they did the 4-door as well, of course. 1967. Really nice car. Hello, hello. Vauxhall Victor here. Oof. A VX490 in fact. It's a rare old girl. Again, a bit like that Fiat we were looking at before, these things were very familiar with the term rust, and they didn't last long at all. You know, you look at Car Mechanics magazine in the 60s, and there's only like, you know, you read about cars that are 4 or 5 years old and the boot floors were beginning to disappear. They really didn't think much about rust proofing back in the day, back in the sort of late 50s, early 60s in particular. There was very little in the way of rust proofing, and the metal was so much thinner on these cars compared to those from the 50s that, you know, it's amazing any of them survive at all. Right, we've got a Jensen Interceptor 3, got a Zodiac Mark 3 here on period Wolf Race or similar alloys. What wheels are they? Does it say? I'm not sure. But look like Wolf is anyway. A Sunbeam Alpine, Austin Mini Mark One. If ever a car looked good on mini lights, it's probably that. This wonderful Sunbeam Talbot we've seen before, Talbot Alpine. Used quite a lot in rallies back in the 1950s, Monte Carlo, that kind of thing. Quite sure what we've got here, a bit of a tribute to Aston, but not. We've got a Zodiac Mark III Estate. This one pops up at many classic car shows in the area. And what a handy bit of kit that is. You can fit all your clobber in there, all your camping gear, and have a great weekend away. Now back to pre-war cars. We've got a Morris 8 Series 2 Tourer, 4-seat Tourer. Very nifty. So you can get the Series 1, that's the Series 2. There's that Morris. This is a 10, it is a 10.4, right, because the 12.4 looked pretty much identical. Spoke wheel, so it's a Series 1. Later cars had the painted radiator surround. They sort of evolved very similar to how the Morris 8s did. So you got the early cars with the chrome radiator surround, then they went to painted, and then they went to painted rad and the disc wheels. So you got the Series 1, the 2 and the 3. Very similar really. Bit of info there. Really nice Daimler there. V8 250, another Alpine. Speedster Porsche replica. Very nice. There's that Gilburn. I love the egg crate type grille, very similar to Ferraris. What a neat little car that is. Yeah, the Gilburn GT 1800. $1966. Okay, we're up to the next row. We've got a 67 E-Type here. That's just a 2+2. You can always tell the 2+2, longer doors, high roof line. And they have these chrome sort of strakes down the side here. The normal fixed head coupe doesn't have that. So it's arguably more practical. It's slightly, not quite the proportions of the original fixed head coupe, but very, very close. A lovely car. And this Austin 12.4 Clifton, we saw this one, I'm pretty sure it was this car, at the Audlam Festival of Transport just a few weeks ago. There is a separate video up on the channel about that. It's a beautiful car. I remember commenting about all the lovely nickel plating on it, which has a great sort of slight yellowish hue to it as opposed to straight chrome, because that's chrome and that's nickel. The old carriage type door handles. What a beauty, how comfortable is that? Wow, what a feast for the eyes. We've got a supplying dealer plaque on the dash there. What of it? Cheltenham Car Mart. What a stunning car that is. So you've got a hand throttle there, gas it says, very American, but gas. And you've got the magneto, so you've got advance and retard. So you'd retard it for starting, and then as soon as you can, you advance it as much as the engine needs. A bit like Little Dodge, that's a very similar setup, similar age car of course. So what's this, late 1920s I think, wasn't it? 1926. So it's been upgraded with little flashing indicators. Otherwise, absolutely original. And what a cracker that is. Well, let's carry on down this row anyway. I like that. MG, little MG, is that a TC? Morris J-Type. This one pops up at many local shows. I've seen this one for years. There's usually a little doggy sat in it, but not today. That's a view that many postmen in the 1950s would have recognised. Royal Mail ran lots and lots of Morris J-Types. These had them in the engines hidden away under there. But these originally had the Morris Oxford MO side valve engine, about 1500cc or thereabouts. Then you had the JB which came along, and it's basically the same van, but they put the B series engine in it just to make it a little bit more usable. And there's a commercial operator's licence. So you have a tax disc and a commercial operator's licence. Next to the J-Type van we got this wonderful Princess 3 litre. Had a long chat with the owner of this one at one of the crew heritage meets a little while ago. It could have been last year now, but yeah, it's a beautiful car that is. A big Farina, longer front compared to your Austin Cambridges and your Morris Oxfords, 6-cylinder engine, very swish, very comfortable way of getting around that is. Really nicely original Mini, MGF, the Alpine Renault, the A110. I think this is a Spanish built car if I remember correctly. Some of them are assembled there. Successful in rallying, late 60s, early 70s. We followed this in. I think this is a GT6 hiding away under this moss body shop. Fiat 500 of course. Mgb with a recessed grille, which didn't prove very popular, so they didn't stick with that for very long. And a bullnose Morris Cowley. Wow. And the classic vintage machine. What a beauty that is. Mark 2 Consul 728 GTE. Mgb GT. There's that standard that came in before. Now, the way of telling what standard you're looking at, because they all look fairly similar, the 8s, the 10s, the 12 horse, the 14s, and the 16s are a bit bigger. But the giveaway is the little thing over the starting handle hole. These flick out of the way, and that tells you what size engine we're looking at, or what size engine car we're looking at. And this is a 10. So I thought it was a 12, but this is actually a 10. So this is a standard. It's a pre-war car. The pre-war cars have these vents in the side of the bonnet. The post-war cars, which dropped the flying part of their name, they didn't have the vents in the side, so that's the way of challenging those. So I'm guessing that's about 37 or 1938, somewhere like that. 4-door saloon, rear hinged front doors, so both the front and the rear doors hinge off that centre pillar there, so you don't want any rust in there. That's a great car, really nice. You don't see too many standards around. Obviously we were out in ours yesterday at Alton Park, so we were flying the flag for post-war standard 8s, and this is a pre-war flying 10. And a very bonny example it is too, complete with its original registration. The number plate pirates haven't gotten to that one yet. That's wonderful to see. Next to that, a distant relative. Standard, of course, bought Triumph out, and this is a later Triumph TR4. And there's that 3A that came in earlier. So, TR3A or a TR4, in this case a left-hand drive. The engine's based on that in the standard Vanguard, and I believe there's also a link back to the old Fergie tractors. Well, let's have a scooter on this next row and hunt down the interesting cars. So this is that TR4 with a Surrey top that came in before. Quite a handy compromise. It's sort of split between, it's like half hard top, hard soft top. So you've got the advantages of a hard top when you plonk the metal piece back in the middle. So it's a lot more weather tight compared to a folding soft top roof, but you've still got open top motoring if you whiz that top piece off. So best of both worlds. You can just see a Jowett pulling in there, a Jowett Jupiter. There's that mini pickup, mini 95 pickup, my Cooper S reverse rims. Chimera, and here's that Squire. Yeah, so you had the Squires and the Estates. The Squires were a slightly more market version of the 100E Estate. Very similar body shell to that of the 300E Thames van, of course, but the main difference is the 300E van, which used the same overall shape as this, they had two side hinged doors on them. The Estates, like this, the Escort and the Squire, they have the top hinged tailgate and the drop down tailgate. So there's quite a few differences in the body, even though at first glance they look very similar to the vans. 1172 side valve engine, there's that Consul Capri. The MR2. There's that VW we saw come in before. Now, is this a Trekker or a Thing? No, it's a Thing.
Seats, carpets, door cards, dashboard.
Couple more VWs. Do like the colour of this one, 6-volt car with a sloping front headlights.
As you can see, there's no badge on the front.
Beauty that is.
So people look at the front.
Another HA. This is a slightly plusher one. Is this the SL? It's got a stripe down the side. Extra strips. Yeah, like the commentary's going, so I'll sort of disappear in this direction. Let's have a quick peek at this vintage Chevrolet. Wonderful interior. Look how nice that is.
Received its winner. So, as I said, if we could still have kit cars, custom cars,
really nice looking car, very similar in style to the Ford Model A and many other cars, to be honest. Many American cars of this era look very, very similar to each other. They're quite hard to tell apart. We saw an Essex down at Wem, the vehicles of interest, and that at first glance looks so similar. So you have to really know your American cars, and I don't know them all that well, to be honest. Oh, it's nice, isn't it? 6-cylinder. You've got a firing order cast in there, 153624.
What a lovely car this is.
It's a stunningly turned out car. For their money, these are great value for money. If you want a vintage car, you could do a lot worse than buy something American, because they tend to have very torquey, lusty engines, and the parts availability for many of these cars isn't bad at all, especially Model A's. If you buy a Ford Model A, you've got a choice of suppliers, even in this country. You're really fortunate. Yeah. These would be half the price of the equivalent British car of similar spec. Next to that, this wonderful Riley. Like I say, I think it's probably a Lynx, but I may well be wrong. I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments.
This is like my favourite little section.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah, it's the best bit of the show here, isn't it? Yes. I'm glad to hear it. Glad you agree. Let's have a close look inside this.
I hadn't noticed that stereo. Oh, I'll
Yeah, we'll ignore the stereo.
Yeah.
Let's just go over there. What a sweet little car that is. So it's your favourite so far? Do you see a little Riley 9 Monaco, the grey one, which is somewhere?
Not yet.
Somewhere over there. I drove in before.
I haven't been over there yet.
Have you not? Yeah, that's a beauty. And as is this.
This is probably my
This
favourite.
is gorgeous, isn't it?
It's like, I can't remember.
I'm
It's like
sure.
1.5 litre or 2.5.
Yeah, it's only 1.5 litre, this one.
Probably a straight 6 though.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know if it is actually. But I've got a feeling this is the car that was at Alton Park in the auction area that we were lusting over.
Hampton auctions.
Yeah, only.
Estimate
It's only
18 to 20.
that was at the Gold Cup, wasn't it? That was the Gold Cup meeting, and it was only a few weeks ago. But what a.
It's half the price of the CMs.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean, what a car that is. Do pre-war British cars get any better looking than that? Saw this one driving in.
It's all just standard 8.
Yeah, Harley's just rambling to himself now, so we'll let him get on with that while we look at things. I remember having one of these as a company car, or use of one occasionally as a company car in the late 1980s. Yes. Yeah. Can't stop returning to this wonderful SS. Apologies for focusing on some cars more than others, but well, there's so many cars here, you have to kind of prioritise things, so I'll try and look at things that I think people will enjoy looking at the most.
No, you just enjoy looking at these.
Well, I just look at the things I like and hope that other people like them,
Yes.
but I mean, that's just a cracker, isn't it? Well, we work our way along this line of classic cars and another Mark II Consul. You like these, don't you?
Yes. Any big 50s saloons.
Yeah, 50s saloons are in favour at the moment, aren't they?
Yes.
You like these, don't you? Yeah. So that's a Consul 375. The
That
TR3A.
looks good on those painted wires.
Painted wires, good. Yes, we like painted wires.
Nice little section.
Really nice 2CV. The Jowett Jupiter, the sporting Jowett of the late 40s, early 50s.
Mini XK.
So we've got a flat 4 boxer engine. Very similar to the Javelin, but slightly perked up. Hey? Oh, the whole front, yeah, it's rear hinged, isn't it?
The engine's surprisingly low. I remember there was one here and it had the bonnet. It's like really low. Mini XK, I think.
It does look a bit like an XK, doesn't it? The shape of the wings is not dissimilar. So which car would you be driving home, dear watcher? Got a Rover 100 here, P4, so that's a 6-cylinder car. There's one of those on that A55 Cambridge over the back there, the black one, the one with fins. Yeah, there's a black
I saw
Cambridge
nice
over there.
Riley coming in.
The 472, the two-tone blue one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
We've got a Riley RM. This is a 1.5 litre car. You can tell that by the dark blue background to the badge. Pale blue there, that would be a 2.5. Got an early P4, the Rover 75. This isn't the Cyclops car, the earlier ones had the Cyclops with a central lamp. Yes. Yeah, but these have a much...
Because the back.
The back of these early P4s really tapers away much more. And it's got a one-piece smaller windscreen. So if we have a look at this one here, it drops down a lot more on different rear lights, one-piece window.
Because it was the earlier.
Yeah, similar to the Cyclops from the back. And over here, this is the later Rover 100. It's got a much larger rear window, albeit in 3 pieces, and a much squarer rear tail. So you get a much larger boot space in these. Otherwise, fairly similar. Maserati, something. But Lotus 11 Plus 2, very tasty car. Do like that. The Bentley, is that an S1? Yes, I do. Okay, well, we've got a Sierra heading up this next lineup. The Mark V Cortina, immaculate. Right, it's a little Skoda. We saw this one here last time we came. Quite a rare survivor. And the Metro, which became the Rover 100 in later years. It's one of those Granadas. Ding ding ding. Golf driver. Opel Kadett. A bit like the Chevette. The rare survivor. So this is a booted car. Usually we had Vauxhalls in this country. You didn't see too many Opels. Now here's that Mgb we saw coming in before. I'm going to have a close look at that and take some photos of that later, just so we can check a couple of things out on ours. But next to the Mgb is a much earlier Triumph Vitesse. It's a 2 litre Mark II. These had the Rotoflex rear suspension, like the Mark II GT6. Just have those Astra GT seats, a lot more comfortable than the standard Triumph seating. I mean, from this angle you'd struggle to differentiate a Herald and a Vitesse. The giveaway is that little badge that says Mark 2 on the bonnet. That tells you it's a Mark 2.
Good.
Yes, indeed, 2 litre Mark 2.
This won't be a 1.6 actually.
No.
It's a Mark 2. Vitesse, very good, very good.
And a Nissan Laurel, is it?
Yeah. There's another
It's a
one.
rare old bird.
It's a Fiat X19 over there.
Lovely. Someone's left a Mercedes here. Nissan.
You won't know this, but every time
What
Dad
Nissan is
sees
this?
a new car, he always calls it an X19. If it's like an Aston Martin or something, always X19 or TR7.
This is another Nissan Laurel.
Wow.
Looking at all these different badgings, I'm thinking this is probably a personal import.
ESGL.
Did they sell these here? If they did, they didn't sell many. It's always nice to see these more unusual cars at meetings like this. Some of them you kind of see quite regularly. Got a couple of Mark 5 Cortinas again here.
So is it Mark 4 smaller lights?
Smaller backlights, yeah. RS Turbo. Another one. There we are. Sunbeam Alpine, early one with the big fins. That's nice. Roots Group's rival to the MGB. Over here, this is a Saab 9000 Turbo. You don't see too many of these now. This was a collaboration between Saab, Fiat, Lancia and someone else, Alfa Romeo. And it was a Type 4 project, and they decided to jointly develop a platform on which to base their large saloons, or in this case hatchback. So they all sort of got their heads together and came up with a Type 4, and the structure is the same as the Alfa 164, the Lancia Thema, and the other one, the Fiat Chroma. But then they went away and did their own styling, exterior body panels and so on, but under the skin they're all very similar. This was a big brother to the 900 Turbo, of course. Mini, complete with chopper. TVR Griffith, that's a 500. BMW Z3. Used to have a 2.8 one of those. Really nice cars.
Stickers all over.
Many Speedwell stickers.
It's all a bit crazy.
That's a lot of stickers. 2000cc Stage 2. There we go. A much reworked engine. Yeah, it's had. Yeah, it will have been. Yeah, probably. Speedwell was a name from back in the day for tuning conversions. Got an MGA, a fixed head. Yeah. It's the later one we're now been told. Because I asked this, didn't I, in the Orland video. Oh, next row, another lineup of classics. This HCV we've seen many times. The Jensen Interceptor. It's had a bit of work done.
A bit.
It's had a lot of work. Look at the state of that. It really is a labour of love. Huh? It is big, isn't it? Big car. I mean, often you see these advertised looking like that and you think they're never going to get rebuilt.
I'd expect sort of these photos to be like black and white, sepia and then full colour. To be honest, how long it took.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. It's an incredible job to save that. Oh, got a Beetle with a flip front. Heavens. And a Clubman Estate Mini. Got one of the very last of the MGBs. This is one of the LEs, limited editions. One of the run-out cars.
I haven't seen one of these.
One of only 421 Roadsters made. It's built 12th of September 1980. One of the last MGBs to be built before the MGB ceased production and the Abingdon factory closed in October 1980. Has covered just 46,000 documented miles from new. And there's the build card there. 3500S. It's got the Rover V8, and S means manual gearbox. Most of them are just 3.5 litres, now the auto box. Yeah, it's those cam covers, Rover cam covers, aren't they? Yeah, so this will have the manual gearbox, which is very good. There we go.
It is very good. Manual.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to drive the two of them and just see what they were like character-wise, differences.
Also and a manual.
Yeah. It's got a cassette player as well.
I didn't used to like these, but actually they're sort of growing on me. They're sort of quite sharp.
Yeah, I like the P6s.
I didn't used to like them that much, but actually no, I think they're quite good looking.
Obviously the wheel on the back doesn't do much for your rear view.
No, it's not, does it?
Rear visibility is somewhat compromised. Like the Rover Shield. Use Super USA premium grade fuel, 100 octane. That's the old 5-star, which you can't even buy anymore. Yeah, 5 stars. SL, sounding sweet. 350 SL. Right, 924. Little Hyundai. Can't remember the last time I saw one of these. Such a rare survivor. I mean, most of these got cubed when they were doing the scrappage scheme. You know, when there were incentives to chop in your old car and buy a new one. Loads of this kind of thing got scrapped. So what's that, S-Reg? So what's that, about 1999 or something like that?
Late 90s.
But yeah, it's the sort of thing that's just disappeared. But fortunately, a few of them have survived. Very, very few. MGTF. XK8, non-supercharged, because no grills in the bonnet. Really nice Beetle. A bit low, but really, really nice. Lots of period accessories. Do like a nice roof rack.
I just realised it clips onto the gutters.
Yeah, that's how roof racks clip on. They clip on there. So you have to make sure you've got like a bit of rubber or
I didn't know.
tape or something, just so you don't damage the gutters. That's a bit of fun, that is. Yeah. Right. Another HC Viva.
That's quite nice.
That's really clean, that, isn't it?
Suede seats on the inside.
Is it? Let's have a peek inside. HC Viva 1974, owned by the current owner since 1978.
Yeah, look at those seats.
So there's the information sheet. Just pause the video if you want to read a bit more about this particular car. Wow, velour seats.
Oh, I thought it was like suede.
Well, it's like suede sort of velour type seating, isn't it?
Wow.
What a great survivor that is. And it's been owned by the same person since 1978. Wow. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's got a cheerful colour, that, isn't it? Very nice. From a little Toyota. Is that one of those? Oh, it's one of those Sarahs, isn't it? Yeah, gull wing, aren't they? So they're top hinged up here, the doors.
I love these sort of things. So
Oddball, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a great need for like nice traditional classics, and then
Yeah, you get a bit of everything. I mean, look at this SM. Oh, how wonderful is that? I mean, that's just mad. Is it about 2.6 or 2.7 litre Maserati V6 engine?
yeah, I think I've read it.
Great details.
2.7, yeah. Look how elegant it is on the inside as well.
Yeah, real.
Yeah. When he was taking me to school, I was like,
Safari, isn't it?
Wow. These are just incredible cars. There's a gent who lives local to us. He bought one of these new in the 1970s, and I was able to buy the brochures off him. But I mean, these are so complicated. If you want a real headache, you buy a broken one of these, because they are not easy things to restore. But wonderful, wonderful car.
I really like this Fiat.
Fiat 130, 3,200. Yeah,
It's really,
that's a really handsome machine, isn't it?
if you look at the interior, it's such a lovely Italian interior.
So what does it say here? Built from 71 to 1977. 4,492 were built.
So elegant inside.
It's beautiful, that, isn't it? Very swish indeed. Nardi Torino steering wheel. Well, let's have a look from the front. Yeah, at first glance you think just another 3-box saloon, but actually there's some really nice detail. The way the wing is scalloped along here. Yeah. That's just the more you look at it. I'd still have the SM. Yeah. But
Actually, that's quite difficult.
beautiful.
That's quite difficult.
Yeah, so Harley's asked me would I go for the SM or the Fiat 130 Coupe. They're both super rare, but I do like the SM. It'd be a nightmare to own, I'm
I'd
sure.
probably have this.
But this is super cool.
I'd probably have this. Like, literally just the roll. Like, they're both really
Two real rare 1970s cars.
And we can't forget the syrup.
There you go, Pininfarina. Yeah. And just a few doors down from the Citroen SM, there's that DS we saw pulling in before. Again, a really idiosyncratic classic French car.
That's a big word.
So it's a big word. That Tickford Capri, quite a rarity. And Neighbour had one of these new in the early 1980s. Yeah, it'll be the 6 still, wouldn't it? Audi TT, I quite like these, future classic.
I really like the road car.
Stag, Brown SE6A Reliant Scimitar GTE. These are a bit wider, a bit chunkier. Yeah, a bit chunkier than the older SE5s, a bit more of a sort of a boulevard cruiser as opposed to a sporting coupe, if you like. Really original Mini. J-Reg, that's a Mark III. So no exterior door hinges, and it's got the luxury of wind-up windows. There's the double gutter, which I've talked about before, which is a sign of a Mark III. Yeah, lovely. It's not been Cooperized.
850cc.
Yeah, base model 850. Really nice car. SD1, we saw this one driving in before. The Rover, the TR7. Another Rover SD1. Beautiful car. These are growing on me more and more.
Really good.
Yeah, especially in red. I just think they look fantastic. Red Vitesses and the VDP version.
It does look good. It does.
It's a really sharp looking car.
Were these ever manual? Even
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Really sharp looking car. Loads of room to work on it as well. Huge engine bay. That beautiful Morris Mini Cooper that came in earlier on the Dunlop, period Dunlop alley wheels. My uncle had those on his GTM kit car in the early 70s. Lovely little car that is. It's a beauty, isn't it? Another XJ showing off its engine, so 6-cylinder. You can get the 3.2 or the 4 litre. Manta GTE. A couple of bay windows, you can see differences here. This is slightly earlier on, the indicators are down there. Whereas on the slightly later bay windows, they are up level roughly with the top of the spare wheel on the front. Some 90s Rovers, that's a 400. This is a 600. See one like this driving around sometimes. A brown Dolomite. There's that Ital. That's what we saw at the Swettenham. That's what we saw at the Swettenham Arms, isn't it?
There are two brown, exactly the same colour, 2.5 PIs.
Who remembers these? Who remembers doing this with an old coat hanger to make up your area? If someone snapped your aerial off, you would bend up an old coat hanger and get your reception back.
Ah, look.
That's a 2.5 TC.
Yeah. And there's another one over there in exactly the same
Clio Williams 2.
The only difference is that's an auto and that one over there is a manual with overdrive.
Oh, we've got some goodies for sale here. Got some Triumph related things for sale. The GT6 handbook there. Factory Herald early Spitfire manual, £3.50. I might have to buy some of this. Isn't it? A few goodies for sale in front of this Rover.
Rover in it.
A few AA badges.
Are they the repro ones?
I don't know. Nice Rover Sports Register badge there. There's that Mark One Gt6. Oh, look at that. That's a handsome machine. So we've got another Mgb Gt V8.
Yeah, that's really, really nice.
And the proper alley wheels. It is nice. Proper wheels on it. There's the correct ones for the V8.
But that other one also got the
Bit of a tight fit, isn't it?
but this one's just, it's got quite an interesting history.
I'm amazed they didn't have to louver the bonnet just to get a bit of extra cooling, because it's quite a small, you know,
It would look good with mirrors, wouldn't it?
You've only got a very small air intake on these, and on this one you've got an oil cooler as well. And the electric fans. So actually in terms of air throughput, I bet there's not that much. Obviously works though, but yeah, stunning car that thing, lovely. So there's that Triumph 25S, engine exposed, and this splitty camper.
Trendy.
Yes.
It's cool.
Yeah, the old Skyline lightweight luggage. And there's the engine peeking out from under there. It's a somewhat modified Ford 100 Anglia. Oh, a great little car, that's it. That's nice. Just have a quick scoot over here. You don't see too many of these Alfa Romeos now. This is what, 1985? Is that a 30? I don't know. 33 or a 75? Yeah, it is a 33. A rare survivor. Sorry? Not sure last time I saw one of those. P6. Over here, an Austin Princess. Leyland era Princess.
Is that where you used to go in?
Yeah. Used to break down all the time.
Only BL would create a car that shape and not make it a hatchback. I mean, that was crying out to be a hatchback, and they fixed that on the Austin Ambassador, which came along afterwards. They did make it into a full lift-up tailgate. For this, it just has an opening boot lid. But, I mean, if that had lifted up the rear window, it would have just made it such a practical car, but they didn't. Cars randomly parked up over here, not far from the entrance. It's a lot busier than when I was stood here before. There's another V8. A Triumph Vitesse convertible. I'm amazed these old cars are still pouring in. I thought they'd all been in long ago. The Lotus. I think this is Supercar Corner. Various Porsches and Lambos. Ah no, here's one we've definitely seen before. This was at Weston Park. A slightly modified Silver Shadow 2. Evans, a Cannon Run.
Sorry, mate.
More oil pourers. What are you looking at there, Red X?
So anything up to and including 1959.
There we go, right, 13,995, and this wonderful Vauxhall Saloon could be yours. 1931.
600, I guess.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's... Because I had an ASY, which was, they were built from 32 to 34, so I think this is probably the Cadet, but I could be wrong.
Just said about 9.
It's nice though, isn't it? It's got the Griffin on the top as well, the mascot. Pedal car, 1936. Leeway.
next door but one, isn't it?
Two, same price.
Right, sandwiches beckon. So back to the showground in a little while. Over here we've got an American corner. This is a Buick 1972. Wow, what's this? Oh, this is a Ford Thunderbird. Well, they've certainly changed compared to the earlier T-Birds. Good heavens. Headlamps hidden behind those rotating covers there. Makes me think of a Lincoln when I see that. What a monster. It certainly reminds me of, we were looking at a Lincoln Continental yesterday. I think it's a Mark 4 or Mark 5 of the mid-70s. And it looked very similar to that. I guess it's the same family. What a machine that is. And this is more my sort of era, late 40s, early 1950s, before the fins. I think these were quite classy looking cars, still huge, but I do like these. Lovely little mirror there. Well, obviously you've got a mirror on this side, a little lamp on that side, and there should be a handle. There you go. A handle inside and there to control that lamp. Just designed to clobber your knee on as you get in and out. That's a beauty, that is. These two we saw driving in before.
He wasn't there before, was he? He was on the
Same with this Metro police car, or is it a Rover 100? MX5 Mark One. You like these? Bright yellow MG Midget 1500, same colour as our MX5, and this is that Maxi that came in before. This is one of the upmarket ones, a Vision and Velour. Really nice condition, that one. Vinyl roof, opening roof. Unless I'm very much mistaken, this is my dad's old Morris Minor. I'm sure this was his, XL G697E. Next to dad's old Moggy Traveller, another Morris 1000. It's not a four-door saloon. And an Austin A60 Cambridge. We saw an A55 Cambridge Mark II, that black one, over the other side with all the badges on. And this is what it evolved into, the A60. So this had the 1622 engine, single carburetor still, but 1622 B series as opposed to the 1489. And they still had fins, but they were a bit smaller, slightly wider rear track on the A60 compared to the A55 as well. And the overriders moved outwards as well. The A55 Mark II's, the overriders are about here, probably in line with that bumper bolt there, I would have thought. So yeah, they did change a fair bit. Interior's changed, different dashboard. This one's been modified, but you can see roughly what it would have looked like. Good Stronghold Bus. Nice to see this one out and about. This is from 1966. And there's that Singer Vogue. There's a whole load of Morris Minors up there.
Yeah, it was a darker green one.
That's nice. One of the, like I said, the Arrow series cars with the Hillman Minks and the Hillman Hunters and so on, and many Morris Minors, various ones. We've got a two-door saloon, Traveller, Morris pickup, separate chassis of course on those. Another Traveller, a pair of Travellers. Really good turnout of the woody version of the Morris. Got a lovely convertible here. Oof. Very nice too. Another two-door Morris 1000, a four-door, semaphore indicators, still got the clap hand wipers, which is a throwback to when they had the split windscreen of the Series 2s and the late MMs, or all the MMs had a split windscreen as well. One of my favourite colours this is for the Moggies. Still got its proper registration and plate. Very nice. A lot of these modern pressed number plates just look awful. Some of them are really cheap, the ones you see around, they're just the wrong fonts, the typeface is all wrong. Compared to an original plate like that, they just don't look anything like as nice, in my opinion, which of course doesn't mean much. And again, proper original plate on the front there. Who's that? It's really nice to see. There's so many of the sort of more affordable cars. You know, you look at Morris's and A35s, they've lost their registration numbers because people take them off for the vanity private plate market. And they end up with age-related plates on them, which are never very nice. I like to see things with their original registrations, the registrations they've worn since they were new. Right. Very clean Mgb GT, a rubber bumper. MG Magnet, this is a vari-tone, two-tone, with a big back window, I think. Nice gaggle of badges on the front. I really like those. Harley's a big fan of those as well. This MG we've seen before. This was at the Orland Festival of Transport last time I saw this one. I had quite a chat with the gentleman that owns that one. You alright? Thought I recognised. Good. I thought I recognised it. Over here, oof, what's this? An MGR V8 pre-development car. The only one left. Lots of differences going on here. Split rim wheels. Different style of rubberish polyurethane bumper on the front. So that's interesting. It's a different hump in the bonnet again, different than the MGC. Let's have a look at the blurb. Dev 2, one of 4 RV8 pre-development cars. Mark II Zephyr pedal car. Wow, that's a really nice Rover P5B Coupe. Coupe was also a 4-door, same as the saloon, but the saloon had a slightly squarer, loftier roof line. Some people prefer the coupes, some people prefer the saloons. These are probably twice the price of a comparable saloon. I used to have a saloon, ran that for a while. Really nice.
What's the difference between the saloon and the coupe?
Well, the roof line's different for a start. The saloon roof is a bit sort of square, and it's sort of chopped up, you know, a bit more lofty, a bit more regal. These had extra gauges. Those 4 small auxiliary gauges under the main binnacle there. I think they were just on the coupe. So they were slightly higher spec, but same mechanically as a saloon. A good old Rover 3.5 litre V8 engine, as was fitted to all sorts of cars, TVRs and Range Rovers and so on. Radiomobile radio in there. Really nice drive. The Hellman Avenger Tiger. Over here, next to this Austin 12.4 that we saw before, is a Jensen FF. Obviously based on the Interceptor, but a longer front, twin sets of grills in the front wing indicate that this is the Ferguson Formula version, the 4-wheel drive version. I've already seen 1 or 2 Interceptors, so it's nice to see the 4-wheel drive version. Very swish car indeed. Look at that interior. It's like an aircraft.
Value, I sold it.
experience of the modern day electric cars. We're going to be supported by the local Jaguar dealerships, by each case, and there will be many other things going on the front. So it's certainly one of those for your calendar.
In the back row here we've got a collection of classic BMWs on slightly later modern classics, future classics and so on. And a quick scoot along here, really crisp E30, E36, that's the model that replaced it. And we've got an 8 Series here, it could be an 840 or an 850. V12 or V8, another E36 3 Series pair, another 8 Series. That's classic, that's an E28.
Yeah, I like that one.
Is it an M5 or is it just a badge? I don't know.
Straight 6.
Yeah,
I have to have a look around the back.
let's have a look.
No, I don't want to set the alarm off. Well, there could be a boot release inside.
Probably not. I don't know. It's got like the right shape of the back, doesn't it? It's when it's all. I would have thought it would have said M5.
Yeah, had a dogleg gearbox, I think the M5s. Yeah, dogleg first.
Oh right, is that a thing?
Yeah, so it's got a dogleg first gear on it, so I'm guessing it's the real deal. The body kit isn't original.
It still looks good. I like that.
Right folks, well, I think that is probably us done here at the Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. As always, there's been a good wide turnout of cars, some old, some not so old, but I think we've covered most of the interesting cars that are here today. It's a 2-day event, this is the first day. We're not coming back tomorrow, so we just thought we'd cover the day where Jaguar was the theme of the day. Tomorrow Mercedes-Benz is the featured marque in front of the main hall. But today it was Jaguar Day and there were some lovely Jags over there and dotted around the show field, of course. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope that video was of interest. There's lots of other classic car videos on the channel and there'll be plenty more coming along very, very soon. There's lots of different things in the pipeline, so thank you very much for watching. Thanks for sticking with it all the way to the end of this particular video. And there'll be more videos along very, very soon, so bye for now.